Hello and welcome to another dowsing adventure. If you're interested in my adventures dowsing, please buy one of my 2 books in which you'll find a lot more of my adventures. Well, a couple of weekends back, Eva and I went out back over towards Hostyn, and there we did a walk through the hills, quite a long walk actually, that seemed to be almost all the way uphill until the very last bit when we got to Wing Castle, and was about I think it was about 12-13 kilometers, something in that order of magnitude, and we had a wonderful day. The weather was absolutely perfect. There were some wonderful views on the way up, and of course we intersected with many different type 4 earth energy lines, both positive and negative, and I was able to do quite a lot of mapping. And since I'd walked to the furthest point from the other side of the hill, I filled in some gaps. Along the way we found some snakes, always synonymous with earth energies, so I thought I'd take a picture of it. Anyway, as I said, we had some wonderful views along the way. We discovered some earth energy lines that we mapped. I've still got some gaps to fill in, but now I've really walked right across this set of hills, and so I have at least one complete transcript, so to speak, of the earth energy lines crossing the hill, including the Templar line, both negative and positive. And you may recognize this hill. It's been in a previous video. This is the area by the Hrad Castle that I visited on my own. We were headed towards this castle, which is named Wing Castle in Czech. I will not be able to say it properly, but it's basically Hrad Kridla. And it sits with a magnificent view of Hostyn, which you can see on that hill over there. Hostyn is a place of Marian devotion and pilgrimage, and a major earth energy centre in Moravia itself. And again, as we came down what was quite a steep hill towards the castle, some tremendous views of the surrounding countryside, which is absolutely exquisite, and I love going to this part of the Czech Republic. Eventually we did find the castle. It was marked by this outer wall, and as we walked through this gateway here, we were hit by very interesting energies indeed. Made us feel quite dizzy actually at this particular location, and it's noticeable that all of the trees that grew around here seem to have these sort of massive root systems and almost deformed look. The castle itself dates back to at least 1365 and was quite a significant castle in the area. You can see a reconstruction of the castle. And it was the earth energies there and this particular vision of what looked like an angel or a figure, which is really formed by an old shattered tree trunk and the framing of the tree in front of it. But quite frankly, we sort of called it the angel. Castle Wings with its angel. You can see her there, standing in all of her glory. And this was the first indication, perhaps, that this was going to be an extraordinary visit. And indeed, it was. We looked around quite hard, and there were some signs of some activity. Someone had plainly been using the fire pit here just recently. There were remnants of mushrooms and a piece of meat just abandoned on the floor, and that kind of got us going, particularly since this is such a hike and such a climb and so far from anywhere. Why would anybody be going up there and leaving a hunk of meat, which I'll show you in a bit? And what was going on with the energy? Well, we finally discovered that actually 2 positive lines cross here, so it's a very strong male positive energy sort of place, which, as you would expect with a castle and a regional administrative centre. But then we climbed up higher up the hill into the central part of the castle, where there are a little bit more ruins, and there we discovered another fire pit and some interesting items. Now again, this is a real climb up to this bit, and you can't imagine people climbing up here just to have a fire, but apparently people do. The fire pit had barbecue sticks, but it also had this. Now, who on earth builds something like this? It is a stick stuck out of the ground, but it's been pushed into a sort of cemented mud and rock base, And one can imagine putting an animal skull on the top of this and engaging in some form of ceremony. We then discovered these strange groups of sticks and rocks laid out within one of the trees just behind the upper fire pit. And so our suspicions were raised that once again, perhaps, we'd stumbled upon the workings of some sort of shamanic cult at work on some of these earth energy centers in Moravia. Everywhere we go, we find signs that someone is working with these energies in ways that as of yet we're not quite sure whether they're good or bad. After spending quite some time at the castle, puzzling everything out and enjoying the energies, we then had quite a steep climb down the other side of the castle hill, back down towards the van. You can see how steep the hill is and how inaccessible this place really is. If this was a bunch of kids having a fire and a barbecue, why would they climb for an hour up such a steep hill to some inaccessible place? This is the hill itself. The castle is on the front of that hill. Why would they go there for a barbecue? Surely there are better places, much more conveniently situated to have a barbecue. And why was the energy line blocked with that stick sticking out the ground? And then we stopped for lunch, and this is what I saw, and I came to the conclusion that, you know what, we find these shamanic symbols and stones everywhere, but look, here in a pub restaurant are sort of shamanic symbols left just as a matter of course. It is ingrained in the Czech culture, it seems.